Hi, Marcy. Hi, Trill. So, hi, everyone. Let me add Trill to you, everyone, for joining.
Hey, how are you
Hi,
doing,
Trill.
May?
How are you doing? Good, good. Thank
You're
you so
welcome.
much for joining us. Especially today, I think today is a very
Yes.
special day for you.
Well, we think so. My wife was talking about contractions earlier, so we might have a new bundle of joy in the next 24 hours. Thank you,
Congratulations.
thank you.
Yes. So if in the middle of the life you want to cut it short or something, just let us know. And congratulations in advance to you and to a new member
Thank
of
you.
Perfume family. So, do you want to talk a little bit about your brand? What is the brand and what is the name that you
Yes,
have
ma'am.
chosen?
Okay, so my brand is Xarmony Perfumes. And this is a fragrance house dedicated to bringing to light the artistry of fragrance. I look at fragrance as an art form rather than a functional, like everyday body spray or product. I believe a lot of brands nowadays have lost touch with what is considered art and the emotional appeal of just painting a nice picture for someone with a fragrance. Um, Whenever I was a child, I remember, early fragrances that I wore, they brought me somewhere. They made me think of things. And a lot of things that we have nowadays, it's like, okay, this works. It smells safe. It smells like office friendly. Everyone would like this. But it doesn't make me think of an entire movie in my head when I wear it. And Harmony's pretty dedicated to making something like that take place. My fragrances designed to bring people back in time, to bring like a historical moment to life. For instance, we have Cairo 2 and Cairo 4. Those are meant to recreate what it would be like to walk through the city of Cairo 3,000 years ago. We also have stuff like Cleopatra. We have William Wallace. We have Spartacus, Athena, Loki, Odin. So the brand is tied deep into history, and especially La Boussaint. That one is a French pirate, and when you put it on, it really makes you feel like you're walking through the Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Like you're literally in 1600s on a pirate ship, smelling the ocean, wearing leather, and it's bright and sunny and tropical vibes going on. So the brand is very photorealistic, accurate in its depiction sometimes, and we also focus on going into the future. Harmony tagline is the brand specializes in history, art, science, and time travel. Our fragrances have to be time traveling. They need to take you out of the modern day and bring you forward in time or backwards.
I love that about your perfume. Basically, you are presenting an art in the perfume, not like everyday like what is like considered as just creating something that people buy, but it is more on the art form, on the like it creates a picture for me, like a painting. I used to paint, so what you are describing, and I have been in your lives before, and when you described a perfume and the steps that you have done to get to the point, it just creates a beautiful picture, like a painting. And the concept of time traveling, I think this is very
Thank
unique to your
Thank you.
perfumes.
I I don't really know if there's other brands out there that do that, but for me, when I was growing up, I was 12 years old when I read this book. It was 4,000 pages of Chinese history. It was called Romance of the Three Kingdoms. I read all of that at the age of 12. Uh, some of it I couldn't comprehend yet. Some of the words were larger than my understanding at that time. But that entire book stayed with me for the rest of my life. And it really helped me navigate the world and understand the inner workings of the world around me. And I think history is something so beautiful to all of us, and it's been forgotten along the way, especially in this day and age where people are changing history, they're rewriting history, they're looking at people through a different lens. Someone that you grew up with as a hero is now not a hero. I think it becomes extremely important, even outside of the world of art, just in a social construct to our society. Like for instance, one of my most acclaimed fragrances right now is Yasuke. This is a Japanese African oud fragrance. Let me see if I can get that on the screen. There's his name, Yasuke. And Yasuke is a fragrance that travels from Africa to Japan, matching his actual journey in the real world. He's the world's only black samurai to ever exist. He was taken from Africa as a slave, and then he was brought to Japan as a bodyguard. But while he was in Japan, the moment he arrived, the entire civilization went into chaos because they had never seen this before. This color on skin, they did not know that could exist. Yeah. So like they thought it was a demon. They thought it was something sent from the heavens. They were fearful. People were gathering around, trampling people over. They even trampled over houses to gather onto the beach and watch him on board the ship. The commotion was so widespread that the warlord Oda Nobunaga summoned Yasuke to his chambers. And he said, "Why are my people in such an uproar? Bring him to us." And so they brought Yasuke to meet with him. Yasuke stands inside of Oda Nobunaga's court, like his chamber room or his courts. And Oda says, "Surely, this is a white man covered in ink." And this is really,
God. What about the hair?
This really happened this way. So what happens next is they literally bathe him 9 times in a row in front of Oda Nobunaga. And he said, "Bathe the man. I'll prove it. Wash the ink off of his body. This has to be a white man. It's a ruse. It's a ploy." Yasuke stood boldly, stripped down. They washed him 9 times. Nothing came off. Oda looks around and he asks the Jesuit missionaries, "Why doesn't the dirt or the ink come off of his skin?" And they start explaining to him there's an entire continent of people just like him. They are from the earth, and they are just as strong and resilient as the earth itself. And Oda Nobunaga began like stroking his beard. You know, he was impressed by this moment. And he was like, well, let's see if this man stands up to your words. He summons some people to wrestle with Yasuke, some of his strongest men. Yasuke is a foot taller than all of them, mind you, because he's African. He demolishes them in a matter of seconds. They start wrestling. Yasuke wrestles them all to the ground and wins. Oda was more impressed by this than fearful as other people were. So he gave the man treasure and said to Yasuke, "This is enough treasure for you to make a little living in Japan now. You can get yourself a house on the outside of the village." So Yasuke went from being a slave or taken as a slave to now having his own land within like the first day of him being in Japan. And he had a small treasure. He used that to get supplies and food and whatnot. By the next year, Yasuke was Oda Nobunaga's right-hand bodyguard. This means that he climbed the ladder of succession, and he had to best everyone else in line to get there. That was the #1 position you could have as a samurai, to be right next to the emperor or the warlord as their bodyguard. So Yasuke, within 1 year, outperformed people that have been training at the art of Bushido or samurai since birth. And he had just started learning it. And in 1 year, he was the right-hand bodyguard. Yasuke went on to fight.
Is that your inspiration? Is that
yes.
your inspiration?
All of that is the journey of this fragrance. After that 1 year, Yasuke started battle. He was on the battlefield with Oda Nobunaga, fighting for Japan, a flag that is not his own as a black person. And it shows something that I want my brand to cultivate, that we all can stand up for each other on this planet. We can all work together and make this world a better place. To this day, there's a statue of Yasuke in Japan. And during World War II, after Japan was bombed, they had a book that was handed to every child to restore their pride and dignity in the Japanese country. Now, get this. The book wasn't about a Japanese man. The book was about Yasuke. The book literally said, for he so loved Japan that he fought it, ready to die and to put his life on the line for a country that was not his own. And that restored, the name of the book was Kurosuke, and it restored faith in Japan for many people. And there's adults now that remember reading it as a child. So that just goes to say, the things that we do in time transcend. Yasuke has transcended time. He's still important to the people of Japan even now. My dream is to take this fragrance to someone in Japan, from the royal family or someone at a museum or something related to that history, and give them a bottle. That moment would like mean the world to me. But the fragrance truly captures that entire movie that I just explained to you guys. Because to me, I see it as a cinematic piece. I see every second of that, and I formulated the fragrance with different accords, aroma chemicals, naturals, to make it reach that imagery. You actually feel like you've come from the earth. You actually feel like you've traveled through the Mediterranean, because it has like an opening in the top with black currant, Mediterranean fruits, North African woods. We have ouds in there. And then you get to Japan and suddenly there's Japanese florals like cherry blossom. There's the smell of rain, like you're in the middle of a rainforest, and Japanese red cedar, Japanese cypress, and Japanese sea salt. So it truly it combines in the most beautiful way possible the entire story of that man's life.
Wow. And very powerful. So I haven't smelled that one yet, but I assume it's a very powerful scent.
We have some people in the chat that are talking about Yasuke. I love Yasuke. Thank
you. So is this like, your inspiration of being a black man in the industry and the challenges that you're facing and how you're overcoming the challenges?
In truth, yes. Yasuke, immediately, whenever I learned his story, it mirrored what happened with me in my own life. Here in Louisiana, it's the South, things are very divided. Things are not as welcoming and open as it is probably in other states in the United States. So I never really fit in. And I ended up becoming famous in Mongolia whenever I was doing Mongolian throat singing online and singing like Mongolian music. I used to like sing their songs, their folk songs from like ancient Mongolian history. And I went viral. The next thing I knew, I was on their news. They called me like a descendant of Genghis Khan, or like a long lost soul from his army. And
nice.
I read Yasuke's story and I was like, this is the same thing that's going on with me. Because for the next 6 years, my entirety of college, I promoted Mongolian culture and spoke about the teachings of Mongolia and the beauty and peace that exists in Mongolia. And in the future, I'm going to be dedicating a series of fragrances to Mongolia. But Yasuke's story literally said that to me and spoke to me. And it's like, I'm doing the same thing now in the industry with fragrance. It's like, it's not easy as a black perfumer or a black-owned business to get traction and to get at that table. If you look at the list of the top 100 perfumers, you won't see this. You won't see this. And that's something we aim to change.
And not only you are fighting for that, I think you are big in diversity. I've seen your perfumes like, coming from different part of history, different part of the world. And for example, I know that we have talked about like, different history about like Iran. You want to bring that in your perfume. Different story about Japan, you want to bring it. So it's kind of that unity. And that is so beautiful, because scent is something that unites people. And also what I saw is you are doing a lot of perfume with the recipes of, for example, ice cream or a recipe, you're gonna have a new perfume with the fig that comes from the recipe of a
Oh yeah, so
sweet,
we
right?
just finished developing, and I say we, it's just me and my company. I refer to it as we. The company's breathing and living and growing every day. So um, we just finished formulating Vanilla X Plum, Vanilla X Fig, Vanilla X Apple, Vanilla X Moonlight, and Vanilla X Oud. Vanilla X Fig's inspiration was taken from an actual ancient Greek recipe. What they used to do with figs back then was soak them in wine and honey and something that we nowadays would call caramel, but it was like a sugary molasses back then. And the fig treats that they would make from this were like a delicacy that was used during times of celebration, and it was something to show like wealth and prominence and power. And you know, like if they were victorious in war, they might make this dessert and serve it. And so whenever I did Vanilla X Fig, I began researching that recipe. I think it was I can't remember the exact name of the book. It was like Atticus, Atricia. It's something that starts with an A, but it's an ancient Greek book of recipes, and it dates all the way back like 2,000, 3,000 years ago. And I was just like, we need something like this in the brand. We need to bring pieces of history that were edible to light.
Yes.
Like if you could go back in time and have, huh?
Delicious part of history.
Yes,
Delicious part of
yes,
history.
exactly. And it's like, you know, we want to celebrate all parts of history, not just like the triumphs, the wars, the victories, the battles. There's also parts of history that people enjoyed even in their time periods, you know. Life wasn't as great back then as it is now, but within that they found joys. And one of those things was desserts, treats, sweets, traded goods and things that they would trade. You know, just having a garden and plants were very important to people in ancient times. So I figured, you know, if we're gonna have all of that in the brand, we need the drinks that they had. We need the food that they had. We needed the gourmands of the desserts that they had. So even with Vanilla X Plum, I basically made like a plum sake. Yasuke, it was in Japan during the time where sake came into existence. That was during the Edo period, early 1700s. And I was just like, well, it fits into the brand. We're doing this. And so I've been on a mission to kind of connect those things together. And it's been pretty beautiful moving
Oh,
forward with that idea.
that's wonderful. So if you haven't been in any of Trill's lives, I encourage you guys to be, because it's very informative, and he always talk about the story behind each perfume, how he start thinking about it and how he creates it. So it's as he said, for him it is an art, so it is like a journey, and on his lives he's always take you to that beautiful journey and help you to paint the same picture with him. And then when you smell the perfumes, that will have another meaning for you, you know. It's not just something sweet or something delicious or something spicy. It brings a lot of like history and memory. And for me, for example, I didn't know a lot of it. So when you are explaining it in your lives, I really enjoy it, because it's kind of like it brings all the knowledge and combine it with the perfume. So how many perfumes do you have right now in your
We don't want
collection?
to answer that question.
It's
Okay,
very
so
hard to actually
Harmony
uh, study all of your
Harmony
perfumes. You have so
has
many.
two collections. There's the vanilla collection, which is now I think at like 13 or 16. I can't remember. Because I haven't released the new ones yet, so on site they're not there, but I know I've made them in the background and they're gonna be there. So there's gonna be like 16 vanillas in the vanilla collection. And then we have the main house with our signature Harmony artifacts. I call these artifacts because that's what the design concept was. They look like ancient urns or something that you might find in a pyramid or a tomb. And like I said, these are things that travel through time. So it really just ties in that brand synergy. Some of them come in black bottles. Some of them come in white bottles. There's a reason for that, and some of them are counterparts. So like Yasuke and Chiome are counterparts. And then Aqua di Familia and Kipukalane are counterparts. One is a summer citrus, the other one's a summer tropical. So like Kipukalane is based on ancient Hawaiian history. Aqua di Familia is actually one that I made with the community of Instagram. People in the community picked the notes that I was going to put in that fragrance, and I built it for them. And then we ended up releasing it, and people really loved it. So I kept it as part of the brand. But so at this time we have, I think, 38.
Them to, so do you suggest them to like layer it
You
together?
could. You actually could. The notes, usually whenever I do that, they have something that's going on that has like a similarity. It's kind of like yin and yang attract each other. And in Chiome, she was in Japan. Chiome's story is that she was Yasuke's enemy, actually. But in the world of harmony, Chiome and Yasuke are lovers, even though this may have never happened. But she was his enemy on the battlefield. The warlord that she served was defeated by Yasuke's warlord. I don't know if they ever met each other at all, but Chiome was the woman that fought on the battlefield against Oda Nobunaga. She was a woman who actually was trained and fought. And so her story is just as deep as Yasuke's, if not deeper, because of the fact that it's a victory for women in history, which is something that we rarely ever see. And I try to highlight with my brand as much as I can, because if you go back in time, women's stories weren't recorded on purpose. Men would take the credit for the woman. The woman could have done everything back then, but the guy would be like, huh?
Even now, right?
We're still living in that time. I'm trying to do what I can to change that as much as I can, I promise. It's like, there were powerful women in history. Qing Shi is one of them in my brand. She commanded 80,000 men on the seas of China. She was their leader. And that was a woman in a time period where women had no rights. But on the seas, it doesn't matter what's going on in society. So Qing Shi took that into her own hands, because there's no laws on the sea. You don't fall under society ruling anymore, and she knew that. But yeah.
I have that here. I'm trying to find Chinshi here. Here you go. I have a sample of Chinshin, and this is one of my favorite, actually. I cannot say which one is my favorite because all of them are so beautiful that all of them are my favorite. And just to show you the detail that he puts on his work, look at the beautiful box for the samples that you get. So when I ordered it exactly, and I got that one exactly. And this is one of those boxes. Thanks for showing. And look, this is the what do you call this?
I can't see anything, so if you could describe the shape of it, I'll tell you.
Oh, okay. So this is a sample card that you can smell the perfumes with, and this
yes,
look how beautiful they are.
I actually designed everything in my brand, including that through that box. Like, I had to send them a model for it and the artwork and everything. This takes so much time. I could make a perfume faster than I could do this. Like, coming up with this, I had 12 to 13 iterations. That took me like 3 months to figure out exactly which one I wanted. And it was, and with that box, I've been doing that since 2 years ago. And that box just happened last summer. So.
And that's beautiful. And all of this shows you guys how much detail oriented he is. And Trill, I think you bear a program.
Digital. So I have a master's degree in digital engineering. Many people don't know that at all. I have a bachelor's degree in digital art history. A minor in art history and psychology. But digital engineering is basically like, I did computer science, I did game design, I did graphics and film and VFX, I did physics engines, I coded like robotics, hardware, software. If it is digital, I had to do it. It's part of that umbrella term where you do
Wow.
all of those concentrations. So it was highly
How
intense.
do you think that background helped you? I'm sorry. How do you think that background helped you,
Oh,
especially
for
that
that, for
history,
that, I'll show you.
like
1 second.
creating
We're gonna
your
turn
art?
this. You guys are gonna get a little bit of a tour. I don't know if this will pick up on the camera, but basically, here are like all of my chemicals, all of the aroma chemicals and molecules that I work with as a perfumer on a daily basis. And learning those would have been 10 times harder if I had no background in like, you know, science. Even though it was computer science, you're still doing computational skills. And engineering kind of links over to once you go into that world of chemistry, you're good at the math portion, you're good at the balancing, you're good at working with all of the different materials. It's the same thing as solving a code. If I want to make my character jump inside of a game, I need to make the x-axis move this many increments, and I need to make him go up on the y-axis this many increments. To figure that out in code, I'm going to have to go through a sequence of different operations to make him do that exact action. And that's the same thing as me saying, okay, I want a plum that smells super fruity, and it makes me feel like I'm inside the pit of the plum. Okay, so I'm going to do iteration number 1. That's not it. The thing's upside down. That's not what we want. Iteration number 2. It smells too smoky. It has too much incense or something going on. Iteration number 3, this accord now is getting to that juicy point, but it's not dark enough to put me inside of the plum. Okay, so let's darken it. How can I darken it? So the same thing as looking through a library of operands for code like C++, C#, is the same thing as looking through a library of ingredients. All the different aroma chemicals that are available to us, all the different molecules. It's like, okay, well, this is fixed amber. This is sylvamber. This is isoe super. This is ambergris. This is grisalva. So, okay, I want this one. And that one can make things darker, have a sparkle or a little bit of skin-like radiance. So I'll pick that one and run it through my code again. I'm literally just continuing my background in digital engineering at this point.
So that is interesting. Actually, I'm a software engineer, so I can definitely understand, like, those steps. So how did you make that switch? How did you become from that engineering mind to your art and perfumery? What did make you
So
do that
in
switch?
2019, I had bought my first set of essential oils, and I was going through a phase. You knew, like we were starting to get to that point where I figured we were going to have children or something. It was like, okay, I need to really get the ball rolling. And the pandemic had started and everything, and it was like we were all stuck at home with no work, nothing to do. And I started my own businesses. I had 5 jobs at that time. I was cleaning apartments, cleaning carpets, teaching music lessons, making soap, and digital anonymous counseling. Sorry, 6 jobs. And then I was doing business consultations, logo design, anything related to helping someone with their business. So like people would hire me to help with their video editing. Someone hired me to make a website for them. Someone hired me to design their logos and their branding. So that was like the main thing at that time. That came from my degree. The other things were all separate. But I enjoyed the carpet thing because I got to make my own mixtures for blending and cleaning the carpet. I made my own blends because it was like this thing that I bought didn't remove the stain. Let's see what I can do to make it work better and make the room smell more pleasant so that, the rates that I would charge for that, people would feel more comfortable paying. And it helped out a lot. But then it got me in that mindset of, okay, if I could do that, what about soap? And then I started making soap. And I started selling the soap at the
I
barbershops.
see.
After that, I had made my first perfumes out of essential oils. I had learned about dilutions, and I had learned like what was safe with essential oils. And then at the end of, in the middle of 2022, I started getting into aroma chemicals, and those are these molecules that I have behind me. And everything changed. Everything changed. So I've been I've been working on perfume for like 5 years. This is my sixth now. And long story short, in the middle of all of that, I had registered my LLC, and 4 months later, we had just bought a house with the money I made from those 5 jobs. 4 months later, a tree falls on it and we lose everything. Every single thing was gone. All of my daughter's belongings, my wife's belongings, all of my chemicals, all of my lab, all of the equipment that I had bought, everything was gone. I was ready to like get my business started. And that's where FragCom really became a home for me, because these people came in and like donated to help us get back on our feet. And I didn't know any of these people. These were complete strangers. And so since then, I've made it my mission to honor what the seed that they helped water at that moment. And that seed is harmony. That seed it had no soil. They gave us soil. It had no water. They gave us water. And so from that broken earth, we rose anew like a phoenix from the ashes. We came out, and now we're here delivering quality, long-lasting, deep, rich fragrances that are like a journey unable to be experienced anywhere else in the market. Not only that, we make them live.
Yes.
I've done live perfumery for the past 67 days. The people on my TikTok right now watching can verify that. They watch me every single night.
And that's what I wanted to ask you about. What kind of advice do you have for someone that wants to start a perfumery, and what kind of involvement
I'm actually
do you have
developing
on that?
a course so I can help people get on their journey for that. Like I said, I used to start people's businesses for them. That's a background that I have. Why not combine those two things and start people on their perfume journey and help them get their business off the ground, at a fee, of course, but there'll be free materials too. But my advice to anyone wanting to do that would be to start out making something that's not perfume. Just because of the complexity of making a perfume, it's much harder. Let's say you start out and you make a soap, or you make like a room spray, or maybe a body oil or something a little bit simpler. If you enjoy that and you're able to balance all of IFRA's regulations, the FDA protocols, the EGW, all of those different bodies that are associated with creating products that are cosmetic grade, if you're able to do all of that and not be overwhelmed, then I would say to start walking in the world of perfumery and learn about dilutions, potentially step into aroma chemicals and getting yourself like a bunch of molecules, or at least a starter kit. And I'll be posting like a starting list of aroma chemicals that people should get into as they're on their journey. But I would always say this to people: start out with making like a candle or making soaps, something smaller, because whenever you go into the perfumery side, it's way different. It's way different.
Interesting. I have seen you actually working with new perfumers and people who want to start, and I think it's very helpful and very valuable for someone who did not even start his business from zero, but also trying to help the community and other people to do the same thing. So going back to your perfumes, which ones are your bestsellers?
Now bestsellers, to the ladies in the room, y'all might want to cover your ears, because I'm about to say some things that y'all gonna be mad at me for, because wallets are about to be exposed. Vanilla X Caramel is a condensed thick toffee with dulce de leche and creme brulee. It's a deep, rich toffee, and it's potent. We recommend like 2 to 4 sprays max.
I recommend only one, guys, okay? I did one spray at night, and the day after I went to that room, it was still, the smell was there. So 4 sprays is too much.
May can attest to the power of these fragrances. I truly do make some powerful, long-lasting fragrances. Like I said, my perfumery approach is a little different from what they normally do in the industry. I like to design my fragrances with my own unique blueprint or footprint. You know, like a good example would be like they do fougères and they do chypres. I like to do a fougère adjacent chypre. Like I'm taking what they do and then like mutating it. So Harmony is all about evolution. And it's like, okay, well, what if we evolve a chypre? What would it be next? And then what if we evolve that? What would it be next? And that's where Harmony exists, 2 steps ahead of what they have now. And so Vanilla X Caramel is just creamy, delicious, realistic, smells like walking around in a bakery. We also, and we also have one that May can attest to. This is a milk chocolate, cotton candy, saffron rose with marshmallow. May's sample is empty.
Oh my God,
May, can you hold that one up?
My sample is empty, and I had, I think about 10 or 12 of his samples, but that one is completely empty. I love it so much. And I think I need to get a full bottle from you. It's
Roses
so
in Awe of the Goddess is one that was actually made for one of my customers. When customers reach 2,000 loyalty points with the brand, I reach out to them and I give them the opportunity to have a free consultation where I'm going to make them a fragrance of their choosing. So this was someone's custom, but it was so good. Friends of his were asking me to release it. And so I released it. Next thing I knew, people wanted it, and it was one of our #1 sellers. Aside from that, Vanilla E Super. Vanilla E Super is just this like 12 to 16 hour lasting, long lasting, true, raw, rich vanilla experience. But it layers with everything that you own because it's built around the ISO E Super molecule. That one we're always out of stock. Like I literally am constantly ordering new ingredients just to make that fragrance again. But Vanilla E Super has another one that is our 3rd bestseller, Vanilla X Squared. Vanilla X Squared, we had a review that just came in December. A woman had let it macerate for 2 weeks because I make them fresh. When you order it, I sit down and I assemble it fresh. That's just ensured, guaranteed maximum quality. She had just got her bottle. She waited 2 weeks before trying it. She said it lasted 20 hours on my skin. And she put the review up on our website. On Vanilla X Squared, you can see the review. It's up there. She also posted it to her Instagram.
And some asking, they cannot wait to smell Vanilla A Super. And I think you have a surprise
I have a surprise for the audience. For those of you that want to, I'm wearing it right now. For those of you that want to smell Vanilla E Super, we're going to be doing a 50% discount code for everyone in this live to get their hands on a bottle. I'm just going to call the code Vanilla 50. It's not active yet. I have to go make it after this live stream ends. But literally like 2 or 3 minutes later, it'll be available. And I came prepared. Awesome. I already made an entire batch of it, so it's ready to go.
That's great. And I believe, do you have any discount code for the black on the fragrance
so my entire collection right now, all 38 fragrances, are 20% off. The only one that I would say don't blind buy are the Kairos and Cleopatra, unless you're a guy. They do lean masculine. So don't get those 3 unless you've sampled them. They're insane.
So what is your favorite note to play with? I think I know the answer.
Harmony has been on a mission to show people the beauty of mint. And the reason why is because if you trace the things that our ancestors did with mint, it was a medicine for us. It was something that was worth more than gold in the Bible. It was used to pay tithes. And nowadays we use it for toothpaste. It's like something went wrong in translation along the way. The industry doesn't really make mint fragrances. And part of that is because it's available in like, aftershaves and all the other little cheaper things. So they feel like it'll be hard to convince someone to want to spend like, $1,000 on a mint if I could just go get a $5 body spray that also has mint. but the complexity and the beauty of that ingredient can be expanded upon in ways that people may not know. The mint family has lavender, it has patchouli, it has thyme, oregano, basil, spearmint, peppermint, lemon balm, sage. The list goes on. There's so many things in that family that people don't even associate with mint right now. A lot of people don't know that lavender and patchouli are mints. And it's like, you know, some people be like, I don't like mint, but I like lavender. And I'm like, well, that's a mint. And so I work with that family heavily. I cannot find a moment where I don't feel like I'm in love with those ingredients. Another note that I like to use is black currant. Black currant to me is very special. I first used it in Yasuke, and my entire world flipped over when I smelled the results of that. Because on the first day, I hated it. I'm not gonna lie. The first day that I made Yasuke, I was like, we can't release this. No, Yasuke is not happening. We're scrapping the project. And then I came back to it like a month later. I wore it for New Year's. And I was like, you know what? Whatever. I'm just going to test it out, see what it does outside. And I was shocked at how everything had evolved. It was so unique. I had never smelled anything like that. It was like fizzy and sparkling and fruity, but also musky and deep and complex. And I was like, where has this been all my life? And I fell in love with black currant too. So don't be surprised if you guys see a mint and black currant in the future.
Wow, that would be an interesting combination. Definitely looking forward to that. And I think we touched up on this question just a little bit, but Tammy has this question as well. She's saying, Aloha Trill, I'm a person labeled as a minority. Do you think the color of your skin has prevented you from achieving your goals? And
so I will say this as a person who has like a plethora of different DNAs. I'm literally 0.6 Sri Lankan. I'm 0.6 Asian. So like I actually am related to Genghis. 1.5% Spanish Portuguese, 70% African, and the rest of it is like different areas of Europe, like French, Irish, Scandinavian, Norwegian. Everything runs through our bodies. We all share DNA on this planet somewhere down the line, because as everyone knows, the origin of the world was Africa, back whenever everything was known as Pangea. I plan on releasing a fragrance about that too. But we all link back. We're all brothers and sisters. Whenever I lost everything I owned, I was already on a path to making my own way. Down here in Louisiana, I didn't get the jobs. They were looking to hire foreign people for the jobs that my degree would have worked best in. They were looking to hire overseas or bring people from like, India or China in to work at those positions. So it was like I had to find my own way. Yeah. And that's what I did. But after the hurricane, I realized something that I hadn't realized before. My skin didn't matter. It can't hold me back unless I let it hold me back. I can say that people are targeting me because I'm black, or I can say that people just haven't had enough association with people like me. So I can have a conversation with them. I could sit them down at a table. I could talk to them. I could explain to them my process. I could explain to them what I do as a person. Some people will look at Xarmony and say, like, this fragrance, I wouldn't pay $200 for one of your vanillas. And I'm like, that's fine. I'm an artist. I have an entire background and all the credentials of an artist to make art. Art is priced based on the beholder who created it. If that's what I deem this being worth, that's what I deem this being worth. If you choose not to support me as an artist, change the radio station. And it is the truth. And I went, you guys heard my story. I went from $0 to $100,000 in my business after only 18 months. Xarmony was on the ground, zero. 18 months later, I had reached 6 figures, and I was able to get us a new home. And now the child that we're about to have will actually grow up in a home of our own. That's what I had intended for my first daughter, Arboricia. And, you know, tragedy befell upon us, and I couldn't give her that. So we were renting, and all of her memories were made in a home that wasn't her own. The moment that I hit 6 figures, I began looking for a new house.
It's just love that matters, Thrill. Doesn't matter where you live. It's the memories of the
Yes.
childhood is not based on if it was a rental or owned. It's based on the love that
Yes.
you get from
Well,
your
for me,
family.
I had envisioned, you know, like painting her room, and I had already bought all the furniture I wanted her to grow with, and like, you know, I was gonna get this and get that, and all of those plans changed. But that's life. Life will always change. You have to be ready to evolve. You have to be ready to go with the flow. You have to swim with the stream rather than swim against it. And so, you know, now she has this space. She's fallen in love with this home, and it's just a wonderful thing to watch her. Sorry, I'm getting teary. Trying to hold it back, but to watch her like enjoy things, and she'll go outside and do something, and it's permanent. It'll be there in a few months. It'll be there, like if she goes and carves something on the fence, that's her fence forever. It'll be like that, you know.
Yes.
And I truly want to give something back to my children, because I know in the world that we have, Black people don't have the head start in America. We don't have a head start by any means. The race has started a long time ago. We may have ability and talent, but we're still trying to catch up sometimes. And so I want to give them a head start. I've already invested. Every month I take $50 or whatever excess I have. If I don't have excess, I'll just take 50. But if I made a profit or a surplus, I'll take more, and I invest it into her account. So by the time Rory is 18 and ready to go to college, I want her to have at least 100,000 in her bank account, so she can go and do whatever she wants in the world, or she can go wherever she wants.
Do you want her to follow your footsteps and be a
If she
perfumer?
chooses to, I would love that. But I'm not going to ask her to do that with her life. I want her to go out and change the world and make a noise of her own. That's the reason I gave her the name she has, and my second daughter has a name she will have. No one else in the world has the name Aroricia in Kana Noel. So that means she gets to write her story how she wants. There's no meaning attached to any part of her name that anyone else shares, except for Noel, obviously. But that word literally means
Nice.
renewal, rebirth, birth of Christ. So that's a whole thing in itself.
Awesome. So what do you see in your future, in the future of the brand, what it holds
In
for
the
you?
future of Xarmony, I would like to do something with each fragrance involving the cultures, and be able to visit the cultures and talk with the people from the cultures and show them my appreciation for their history, their culture, and how I'm open to accepting everything about their background. Because no one did that to me when I was growing up. And I can start that narrative. I can go and meet people. I've already done this. I met people who are Iranian, and I spoke with them, and I asked them, what did they value? And I said, like, what?
And
And
you
then I
asked
asked
about
about
the
what desserts you
desserts
like,
that you want to make
and how would you
as
feel
a
if I made
perfume.
Bastani ice cream into a perfume, you know? And that's an ice cream that may have grown up with, and she might love that. And then I want to do
Yes.
that with Mongolia too. Someday I hope to go to Mongolia, and the president of Mongolia knows my name. He saw the video of me on the news, and I want to bring him a bottle
Oh,
whenever I make Genghis.
wow.
I want to hand deliver a bottle to him of Genghis someday. Those are my dreams. But the future of
Yes.
Harmony,
Hopefully
I'd like
that day.
to improve some of our packaging. Like, I want to have a special box that everything can be shipped in. Something that has, like, you know, the narrative of the brand. And when you look at the box, you see the different faces of the different people that are in the brand. Um, I would love to do
Oh,
something
wow.
like that, but a step further, I would also love to make an animated series or a film, touching on my digital engineering background. I would love to bring these things to life even more so that people can watch something while smelling it, to bring that experience to a new heightened level. It's like know, you can walk through this
Yeah.
person's life and you'll be smelling the movie. It's like a museum experience, but it's related to the perfume that you may love. I think that's never been done, and I want to be the person to do it. Like, welcome to the Harmony
That's
Museum,
amazing.
ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, that's amazing. I can't wait to see that. So, if anybody has any questions to ask Thrill before we finish this
I'm waiting on someone to say
live.
top 3 gourmands. I
So, do you
certainly
want to answer that
can.
question yourself?
Vanilla X Cotton Candy, Roses in Awe of the Goddess, Athena. Athena is one that I recommend sampling if you're not familiar with Mint. Please read her story on the website. That's another thing. If you ever get yourself something from Harmony, please don't do yourself the disservice of not reading the briefing that goes with the fragrance to see how everything ties together or the beauty of those notes, and why it's designed the way it's designed. It truly is a disservice. Like, I spend a lot of time on those briefings to make sure that intellectually I fully communicate and give a distinct understanding of what this work of art is supposed to deliver to you.
And can I recommend two? One is Kione, and the one that I really love is the
Diao
Dao
Chan.
Cha. It's very hard.
Diao Chan
So good.
is an almond. It's kind of like a flormond, like a floral gourmand. She is like Chinese rose, peony, almond. She even has like a little bit of booziness to her. Just a really, really sweet floral, almost edible floral fragrance. That one is about women's stories, being reflective of what men did and how Diao Chan said no to that. Her story wasn't going to be about the guys. It was going to be about her, and that she made sure of that. She pit the two guys against each other. And one of those is going to join the brand. He's the one that ultimately won and had her heart afterwards. But the lesson that I did for Diao Chan and the meaning behind it ties into when I was working on my domestic violence awareness film. And I was working in unison with a shelter in Baton Rouge. It's called the Butterfly Shelter for battered or women that have gone through DVA. So I dedicated that fragrance to survivors of domestic violence. And Diao Chan is a person that survived that, and she overcame it. And she turned the two people against each other and made them go at war with each other and leave her alone.
Maybe that's why I like it. The scent is beautiful, but the story behind
Thank
it
you.
is
The full story is that, or the summation of her story is that I actually call it her story instead of his story. Like his story instead of history, it's her story. Diao Chan has a her story. Ching Shi has a her story instead of a history. It's kind of like just splitting the gender there. Diao Chan's message and meaning is, you are a woman. You are unwritten. You are not what this person may have done to you or what this person may have told you you are. You know, this person may have made you feel worthless. This person may have made you feel less than. This person may have made you feel less than the queen that you should be. Diao Chan said no to that. And so that fragrance is about how women are unwritten. You are not what they say about you. You are what you say about you. That is.
Yes, and it's exactly the message I'm getting from you. You're like, no matter the skin color, no matter the gender, you are who you are, and just believe in yourself and achieve what you want.
Exactly. Every single one of us, I say this before I end every single live stream. I've been saying this phrase every day for the past year. Make today the day that you evolve. Do something different that you've never done before. Take a step into the unknown, into the wild, the wilderness. Because the only difference between you and a millionaire is how many times that person evolved to get where they are. You see, in my case, a tree fell on my home. We lost everything. I had to take care of my family, and we were living out of a car. I had to evolve in that situation, or I had to fall and crumble. and I evolved. And we're here now, and I'm still evolving day in, day out. I make sure before I go to sleep every night that I read some new piece of information, or I do a new activity. I might do 5 jumping jacks and 3 push-ups. If I didn't do that yesterday, I've evolved. And that's enough. We have a certain amount of time on this planet. As long as we do that every day, we are investing in ourselves. And the more that my people learn to evolve, the better the future will be for our descendants. The better the future will be for our children, our grandchildren, every generation behind us.
Amen to that. And thank you so much for your time, especially in this
Yes.
special day for you. You're going to be a dad again. So congratulations again to you and your family and to all of us as part of your family.
We say this at Harmony. Everybody that steps in the empire of Harmony becomes family. I will support your ventures. If I see you on Instagram posting stuff, I will leave a comment. I will share it. I will leave a heart on it. I will tag someone in it. I want to help everyone around me reach new heights, because there's a saying, you are the summation of the 5 people that surround you, the closest people that surround you. If those people haven't reached the top of the mountain, you're going to have a hard time reaching the top of the mountain, because anytime you fail, they'll comfort you in that moment. They're not going to lead by example and show you how to succeed next. You know, like they'll be like, oh, hey man, that happens. It's okay. And it's like, I want people around me that are like, hey, here's how you make sure that doesn't happen. You know, here's how you make sure you don't fall 10 steps back. And it's like, that's my goal for everyone. People that come to Harmony start vibing with that energy and they share it to those around them. You know, there's a lot of people that have come to my brand and been inspired and started perfumery and have come to me for advice and questions. I've literally helped 7 people start their perfumery journey so far. And it's like, you know, there's a lot of inspiration in my works of art that I hope other people can feel and experience. And just, it opens the mind and lets them go through the universe being who they truly want to be inside, not who society tells them that they need to be. Society taught me as a Black child that I needed to be the victim, that I needed to be the one that you know, was the minority, that I needed to be the one that couldn't reach heights because society was built against me. I don't believe that. Whenever I go to pay my taxes, they don't know what my skin color is. They don't care. And whenever I cash my checks, that's all done online. They don't see me in person. We live in the age of Bitcoin. You could make a fortune and no one knows who you are. So you can't sit there now and say, like, I'm Black. I can't do nothing. Society won't let me. It's like getting this home. I couldn't get it with my credit score. Now, that's something that Black people are heavily affected by. We only got credit like 20 or 30 years ago. So that's not really something we could change. But whenever I wanted to get this home, I didn't have the credit score, but I had a business. And nothing's stopping you from making a business. You can register an LLC no matter who you are. You can get a home in your business name that doesn't involve your credit score. It involves your income. And it's an income-based loan. I teach these things in my lives all the time. So if any of you are looking to evolve yourself, your finances, business, just the mind, discipline of any kind, I teach all of that in my live streams every single night, as long as time will let me.
That's wonderful. I really encourage you guys to try and go in one of his lives. And once you go once, you're going to be hooked. It is beautiful. It is combination of laugh and history telling and smelling new perfumes and, like, you know, a lot of good information. So really encourage you to join his lives as well. And I'm going to stop with one last question that Rob asked. And his question is it's your last day on earth. What fragrance do you wear? And
Primal.
What's your last name?
Primal is a fragrance that I designed to represent time before time itself. If you go and read the story of Primal on my website and you ever smell it, or you check out on YouTube, there's a review by Surya, Sun Scent Fragrance, on his YouTube channel. he uploaded his review of Primal, and it speaks facts exactly how I designed it. And he never knew any of that, which is crazy. That means this man picked up my work of art and felt something similar to what I painted without ever talking to me about it. I had never told him what Primal was about, didn't explain anything, and he refused to read the briefing on the website. He said, I want to experience it for myself, and then I'll give a review on it. He came back and bought a full bottle of it within a week. Yes. And then he made a review on it, and it's like a 15-minute documentary of Primal. It's literally a documentary. That fragrance was designed to represent time before time started. It smells like outer space. It smells like the cosmos. It smells like evolution that has not taken place yet. It smells like some being from just another dimension. Like if something could be made of energy and light, it would smell like Primal. It has this extraterrestrial vibe that people just can't explain it because it's a feeling as well as a scent. I would wear that because that fragrance, every time I put it on, I feel in alignment with the cosmos. It's like all the stars have aligned. The sun is blocking out the moon is blocking out the sun. There's an eclipse going on. All of the planets are in alignment. Everything in the universe is standing still. The moment you spray on Primal, because it has 7 layers of mint. It has 7 layers of different mints. We're all working at once. So it gives this calming, almost like frozen moment, like the world standing still. I would definitely wear Primal because it would remind me that in the scheme of things, I'm just a speck.
What would be your last meal?
My last meal. That's hard.
Persian
I don't really do desserts, but Persian ice cream could be my dessert for that last meal. I'd agree to that. It would probably have to do something with like shrimp. Honestly, like shrimp fried rice, fried shrimp, fried catfish, and boudin. These are all Louisiana like staples. I would want a giant feast of Louisiana food, honestly.
Wow. I really don't want to stop the live. It's a very good live and I really enjoy it. And there is one more question. So I promise this is going to be the last
question.
You're good, man. You're good. Okay?
You have all of my time this evening. My wife is taking a nap right now, so.
I appreciate it. Perfect timing. So what fragrance speak your love and interest? What fragrance sparked your love and interest in fragrance?
It actually wasn't a fragrance. I had always worn cologne. My mom, when I was a kid, you know, as every black mom does, you got to look sharp. We're going to see your aunt and uncle. You better not mess up your suit. You got to like, you know, your button down polo, your Nautica, Ralph Lauren, all of the designer clothes that mom would give you growing up. And then she'd be there fixing your shirt constantly. She also made sure that I had cologne. And she had bought me like some polos and just some normal colognes. And ever since then, I had continued to collect and just wear different things, different designers along the way. It never really was important to me which one, just that I smelled good. But then whenever I graduated and I was working those 5 jobs, life was full of anxiety, and there was the pandemic, and things just felt. I'm ADHD, if y'all haven't figured this out yet. Things just felt intense for me, like the stress of the world at that moment. It felt so out of balance. I remember I randomly put a diffuser on my desk and I put peppermint oil in it. Something in me knew to do that, right? And the world stood still. Everything froze. I was sitting down at my desk and I just had like this reverence, this something that I hadn't felt in years. The last time that I felt like that, I was a teenager and puberty hadn't happened. My innocence was there. Like the universe hadn't changed for me yet. You know, like the world, I didn't know about like having to be a man someday and having to do this and do that. That was the last time that I felt that moment. Yeah. And that diffuser, just peppermint filled the room. And I was like, I want this in a fragrance. I want this in a perfume. I want this in a cologne that'll last like at least 8 hours. And I would have been okay with that. They don't have it. in the market, they have maybe about 7 designer quality fragrances that have like peppermint, and the peppermint in it is like in the background. You won't even really notice it. And I looked, I searched, I went online, I found like Roadster, you or someone like you, Herba Fresca from Guerlain, Eau de Mint from Diptyque. I found all of the peppermint perfumes that existed. None of them were like mint forward. And then I realized they don't make mint forward fragrances. The more I looked into it, companies would say things like oh, well, this will smell like toothpaste. People won't want to wear it. And I'm like, well, maybe people wear things for function, not just scent. Maybe people wear things so that they could perform better on their job. That's what that did for me. It was like, give me peppermint. This makes it to where I can focus. I can like calm down. It relaxes me. And I was like, I need this. I'm working 5 jobs. I'm on my computer for like 10 hours a day. I need something to relax me next to me. And that really set my environment. And it was so comforting. And I was like, okay, there's really something to aromatherapy. And so peppermint spurred me into wanting to make my own fragrance because I couldn't find it. And so my first project was Odin Sleep. And Odin Sleep is still in the brand today. It's been reformulated. Like all of my fragrances from the beginning that were natural, like essential oil only, were reformulated now that I work with molecules. And, you know, I have the backbone of like a traditional classical perfumer.
Awesome. But thank you so much for your time and for joining this live. And also I want to say a special thanks to Glenn, who made all of this happen and unite people and get everyone together. And the Black-owned Fragrance Week events that are happening. So if this is your first live, please join the other lives and see these like amazing perfumers and brands that started from scratch and like Trill, they are very successful now.
Thank you so much for having me today, May. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk through my brand and giving your input on Xarmony and your loves and values of this fragrance house. I really appreciate it. It's always a blessing.
Absolutely. I love your brand. I love your story behind the brand. And not only that, I love history behind each of the perfumes that you are making. So keep doing the great job you're doing, and congratulations again to the new addition to your family.
All right, everyone. Y'all take care. See you again soon.
Everyone. Sure.